Verse 23, so the saying spread abroad among the brothers that this disciple was not to die. Yet Jesus did not say to him that he was not to die. But if it's my will that he remain until I come, what is that to you? Okay, so the saying spread abroad. So in other words, this went far. Not just here in Galilee, but it went far. I mean, even till today we can read it. And that John is not going to die. Jesus never said that, right? Jesus never said that. And it states it clearly in this verse. John writing this down is stating this. Jesus didn't say that I will live forever on this earth, kind of idea, till the second coming. It's not as if we're going to go to a cave, again the Indiana Jones idea, a cave somewhere in Petra and find John, sitting there in a cave waiting for Jesus to come back. Don't tell that to dispensationalists, because maybe tomorrow they will go and find somebody like that, to start searching for John in a cave somewhere in the Middle East. Anyhow, and that will be another sign of the end times or something like that. They also thought. So yeah, the point John is making with this verse is this question led ultimately to some gossip, which he is trying to now deny. Jesus never said that he will live till he comes back. That's all. So just concerning then this, does this mean that this must have been written at a very late date? Okay, because it would take time for the message to spread. No, man, a week or what? No, 2 weeks later or so, they were all in. Well, actually 3 odd weeks, depending, give or take. They are in Jerusalem, and Jesus is already ascended to the heavenly throne, and the Holy Spirit came. And then there were people of all tribes and tongues and nations there in Jerusalem, as it's stated in Acts chapter 2. And they heard them preach. And so, I mean, they went out from there. And I mean, even people there, Peter was a couple of days later taken into custody. Stephen was stoned. James, John's brother, was killed. Okay? Couple this with the whole looking after Mary, all of this, yes, sure, it would have people would have started asking questions. Like these were James. I mean, what about John? If John's connections couldn't save him, what about James and John's connections with the high priest couldn't save them? Then what is a chance of John maybe surviving? And Peter already, and then who we are going to have left? Because Jesus' brother was not at that stage or earlier known for a follower of Jesus, right? James, the brother of Jesus, that is not James, the brother of John. Okay, so it would have led to lots of even then conspiracy theories, right? Or questions. So who is going to be ultimately those leading? Won't the whole movement be destroyed? See how fast things going down. So in that sense, yes, it could have been already a thing of them spreading this. Okay, but don't worry. Jesus said John will stay till he comes back. So Peter might die because look at how he's been imprisoned every couple of days. But John, he's the second time when Peter was in prison, not there. So that's a good sign. Let's tell everybody they don't need to worry that ultimately John will still be around. Okay, so I'm not saying this is how it happened. This is how it could have happened. I'm just trying to show that there's a possible, logical even different explanation for not making this, that it had to happen only 40 years later, that these words were written down. That John is now an old guy. And oh, John is old, and see, he's still around. And man, maybe he's going to even... Yes. So that is one possible explanation for these words. Other understandable explanation is that John said he could have written the first 20 chapters and then this chapter was added later on. Okay, although I mean it can be, but I don't think it is really, because of the simple fact that he previously, I mean, it was important for him to state concerning the reinstation that Peter was reinstated. Okay, so if it's written so much later, then that kind of doesn't make a lot of. That was a very important thing in the early, and that is again for me proof that it was written early because it was so important for the people to know that Peter was reinstated. He was reinstated 40 years later, told about it 40 years later. It would have been kind of too late, right? Yeah, sure, now they say it's just oral and they spread this news. But it's one thing for it to be oral and being spread in that way. It's another thing for it to be written down by John. It's total different kind of authority. And it was so important for Peter to have that authority. So again, this is for me proof that this chapter does actually follow after 21. It's not a late addition, right? But proof that it was written early. The fact of how this is how Peter is going over his death kind of idea, that is in brackets, so that seeming is not part of the original, which leads us to think. Okay, and the other thing that leads us thinking this was written late is because John died an old man, only one of them. So now logically we think, right, because now we draw conclusions that, but it need not be like that. I already now give you another explanation. Okay, why this is. Maybe these few verses of Peter was only added at the latest. That is as well a possibility. The rest added very early. We read in Deuteronomy about Moses dying. I take it, and most conservative Bible scholars take it that Moses wrote the 5 books. But for sure he could not write. Well, he could have if God showed him that you're going to die. And so finish this book before you go up that mountain. You're not coming back from that. It is a possibility. That's prophecy. It is. He was a prophet. It could have happened. But if he didn't know, in the same way here as well. It can be then as well a prophecy, but this is going kind of how it's going to play out. And so write it down before, right? We have other examples in the Bible of something like this happening. And there we don't think that Moses now suddenly didn't write all of this or whatever, right? Except you liberal scholar understand that, right? And you take it all apart. So the same kind of thing there, same kind of thing here.